Several new developments in South Suburban Dolton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial reports.
You could feel the anger tonight at a Board of Trustees meeting in Thornton Township. The board and citizens looking for accountability to their finances, while the township supervisor...
Hold on to your seats, because this might be the biggest scandal yet. Dolton and Thornton Township Mayor Tiffany Henyard has found herself in some seriously hot water. And it looks like things are only getting worse. From extravagant spending sprees to accusations of mismanagement, Henyard's name has been dragged through the mud in recent months. And it's not just the trustees who are calling her out. Residents are up in arms. Federal investigations are on the horizon. And let's be real here. It seems like everyone's waiting for the next bombshell to drop. So what exactly is going on with Tiffany Henyard, and why is everyone so angry? Let's dive into this unfolding drama.
Is there a motion to terminate Keith Freeman?
First things first, former Chicago Mayor Lightfoot is getting ready to release some explosive findings. That's right, Lightfoot is leading an investigation into Dolton's finances, and the results are expected to be a game changer. With rumors swirling about financial mismanagement under Henyard's watch, this report could be the nail in the coffin for her career. Lightfoot has been digging deep into the village's books, and word on the street is that her findings won't be pretty. The anticipation around this report has everyone on edge, and it seems like Henyard is already feeling the pressure. This could be the development that finally tips the scales and exposes the full extent of the alleged corruption.
Deep debt, and that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Tiffany Henyard has been facing backlash for a while now. The tension has been building for months, with the Dolton Board of Trustees taking issue with her handling of village funds. They've accused her of overspending, making unauthorized financial decisions, and using taxpayer money for her own benefit. It's safe to say that things have escalated quickly, and now we're in the middle of a full-blown financial disaster. One of the major controversies surrounding Henyard is her security detail. You heard that right. While the village of Dolton is supposedly bleeding money, Henyard has been rolling around in high-end SUVs, all paid for with taxpayer dollars. Residents are furious, and they've been calling for her to sell off the luxury vehicles.
So that's one of the reasons I vote no when we go through our board packets. It's like, some of this stuff, it's like you don't know exactly what it's for, and then when you ask a question, there's no answer.
Apparently, the village has already spent around 250,000 currency units on these cars, and if they continue to lease them, the total cost could balloon to over 700,000 currency units. For a village that's supposedly strapped for cash, that's a massive expense, and it's clear why people are upset. But here's the kicker: Henyard isn't backing down. She's sticking to her guns, accusing residents and trustees of harassment and claiming that all of this uproar is nothing more than political games. Honestly, it's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way, and the tension is rising.
We needed those officers to be on the street fighting crime, and instead we have several officers that are riding around protecting the mayor.
Now, let's talk about the events. Oh yes, Tiffany Henyard loves to throw a party, but it's not exactly the kind of fun you'd expect. These taxpayer-funded events have become a huge point of contention, especially when you look at how much money is being spent. Take the Taste of Thornton Township, for example. This one-day event racked up a whopping 85,000 currency units in expenses, and people are asking if it was really worth it. Singer Keek Wyatt was paid 30,000 currency units for a 30-minute performance, while rapper Jay Holiday pocketed 20,000 currency units for another half-hour set.
Mr. Lacey is absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt first.
Between the bounce houses, comedians, staff, and equipment, the total cost just kept climbing. And get this, despite all that money being thrown around, only about 70 people showed up to the event. That's right, 70 people. Can you believe it? An 85,000 currency unit event for fewer than 100 attendees. If that's not a waste of taxpayer money, then what is? It's no surprise that the trustees aren't having any of it. They've been trying to rein in Henyard's spending for months, voting to cancel several of her upcoming events. But here's the thing: Henyard had already spent a good chunk of the money before the money were even cast.
One way that the government always does it is to go and investigate people around her, and that's what they're doing here.
It's like she's playing a game where the rules don't apply to her. One trustee even described it as a shell game where Henyard is shuffling money around in ways that don't add up. It's a clever way of saying that something shady is going on, and honestly, it's hard to argue with that assessment.
Who would make a one-day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon? And the main thing is, what is it?
Pinard, of course, has her own version of events. She claims that all this drama is politically motivated and that the trustees are just trying to smear her name. In one particularly fiery board meeting, she accused the trustees of operating out of spite, saying they had hatred in their hearts for canceling her events. According to her, the residents love the events she's organizing, and the only reason they're being canceled is because she's the one in charge. It's classic Tiffany, always the victim, always playing defense. But at this point, it seems like her excuses are wearing thin.
I do not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
One of the most interesting characters in this drama is Keith Freeman, a township employee who's been labeled a whistleblower. Freeman was fired by Henyard, but the trustees are standing by him, insisting that his termination could lead to a costly lawsuit. They see Freeman as a key player in exposing Henyard's corruption, and the fact that Henyard is doing everything in her power to distance herself from him only adds to the suspicion. Freeman's story is still unfolding, but he's become a symbol of resistance against Henyard's alleged mismanagement.
Sometimes we get invoices, but those invoices lead to more questions, and sometimes we don't get answers to those questions. And so it's not about clickbait, it's about just making sure the right thing is.
But let's get back to the money, because at the end of the day, this whole saga is really about the money. The village of Dolton has been bleeding cash, and the trustees are pointing fingers directly at Henyard. They've accused her of spending unapproved funds, often using credit cards in ways that raise red flags. Remember those events we mentioned earlier? Yeah, well, a lot of that spending was done on credit cards even after the trustees voted not to approve the expenses. It's almost as if Henyard just doesn't care about the rules. She's going to do what she wants to do, regardless of what the trustees or residents have to say about it.
The township residents are paying for her fund.
Now, we can't forget about the federal investigation. Yes, you heard that right, a federal investigation is underway, and it's only adding to the pressure on Henyard. After a year's worth of WGN Investigates reports detailing first-class travel, expensive meals, and questionable spending, the FBI has taken notice. It's clear that Henyard's behavior is being scrutinized at the highest levels, and while no charges have been filed yet, the investigation is ongoing. The big question on everyone's mind is whether this investigation will lead to criminal charges. Even if Henyard is charged, though, it won't necessarily expel her from office. It would take a conviction to do that, which means this drama could drag on for a while longer. In the meantime, Henyard is still putting up a fight.
I am about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments, there won't be anything. It'll just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on.
At a recent township meeting, things got so heated that security had to step in to quiet down the agitated crowd. People are fed up with her antics, and the tension in the room was palpable. Henyard, for her part, continued to accuse the trustees of launching a smear campaign against her. It's a familiar refrain: she's the victim of political harassment, and none of this is her fault. But the evidence is piling up, and even some of her former allies are starting to turn on her.
Hey guys, this is Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor and people's supervisor.
One of the most explosive moments came when the trustees started grilling Henyard about the township's finances. They questioned why so much money was being spent on seemingly unnecessary items, thousands of currency units to Amazon, for example, and even more on cakes for community events. Henyard tried to defend the spending, but it was clear that the trustees weren't buying it. The tension in the room was electric, and you could almost feel the frustration bubbling over. Of course, Henyard wasn't going to let this slide without firing back. She went on a long rant, accusing the trustees of trying to undermine her and claiming that she had actually turned the township's finances around.
Very appreciative to receive the information today. We have the best mayor ever. I've been here since 1993.
According to her, the township was facing multi-million currency unit deficits when she took office, and now it has a surplus of 7 million currency units. It's a bold claim, and one that's hard to verify without seeing the actual numbers. But even if it's true, it doesn't excuse the reckless spending and lack of transparency that have become the hallmark of Henyard's administration. As all of this unfolds, residents are left wondering what's going to happen next. The trustees are clearly determined to hold Henyard accountable, and the federal investigation looms large in the background. But Henyard is nothing if not defiant. She's made it clear that she's not going down without a fight. And even if the walls are closing in, she's going to go out kicking and screaming.
Fox 32 has investigated Henyard's use of a police security detail, taking officers off the street and costing thousands of dollars.
Now, let's take a moment to hear what some people are saying about all of this. One viewer commented, "She is on the ropes and the strategy isn't working. Miss Lightfoot is ready to land the knockout punch." It's a fitting metaphor. Henyard is definitely on the defensive, and it seems like Lori Lightfoot's upcoming report could be the final blow. Another viewer added she needs to step down. I don't know why she hasn't yet. Just fire her. It's a sentiment that's being echoed by a lot of people. With all the evidence stacking up against her, it's hard to understand why Henyard is still in office. But as we've seen time and time again, she's not one to give up easily.
The legal appointment, that's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
So where does this leave us? Tiffany Henyard is under fire from all sides, and it seems like every day brings a new revelation. Whether it's unauthorized spending, extravagant events, or the looming federal investigation, the pressure is mounting. But Henyard isn't backing down. She's continuing to defend herself, accusing the trustees of playing political games and insisting that she's done nothing wrong. The question now is whether she can survive this storm or if her time in office is coming to an end. What do you think? Is Tiffany Henyard about to face the consequences of her actions, or will she manage to weather the storm? And what about the residents of Dolton? How do you think they're going to react if this drama continues to unfold? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the bell icon for more updates on this developing story.